Hello and welcome to the Temple Thinkered. I am Jim, aka Argent Wind, and I am your host here for DM&D Chat here on the House of Gamers server. Some announcements about that little later on, though. But today we are here at request from one of our last sessions for a little show and tell. Um, People wanted to kind of get a little more information, a little more stuff, a little more of a more of a tour, I guess you could call it, of the studio, what's behind me, things that are around here that I've collected and kind of talked about here. And then we're going to talk about some of the things some of the more obscure things that you have. See some folks here in chat there. Good to see everyone as always. So happy to have you here watching and participating. And so any questions about something that I've pulled up there or been showing off there, or any questions about other related topics to the things I bring up here, absolutely throw them in the chat and we'll have a time to kind of figure out figure out what to do with today. It's going to be a little more free form, a little less organized than normal here. But as I said, we're calling this show and tell. So a number of weeks ago, I did post some alternatives to D&D for tabletop role-playing games. And you'll notice I actually did reorganize my shelves here and kind of move things around a bit. And so a lot of things are still in the same place, but there's a whole little bit reorganization of things and kind of show some of that here today. But um, as always, I do have my D&D shelf here, starting with the good old basic and expert set over here. The red book is the red rule book there is inside the blue box that I have. All of my old this right here happens to be the first role-playing book I ever bought, the original Player's Handbook, AD&D, I believe 1978. Yes, 78. I got it when I was, well, 13-ish years old, 13, 14 years old here. So those of you who know me can do the math and figure out that was about 40 years ago. So my oldest book that I've got here. Um, all the old D&D modules that were all here. So all these old classic D&D modules in various stages of use and abuse. You'll notice one thing on the left-hand side here is all books. This whole section here is all Greyhawk. I ran Greyhawk for a good 20 years. In from the time my ending of high school all the way through college and um, all the way up through even beyond college a bit to my recent gaming days. So I got a lot of fond memories of that, but I talked a little bit about why I switched away from that. But I wanted my own world, my own sandbox to play in, and my own way to do things. So that's why I still have them all. They're still good reference material. There's still some great adventures and seeds of information in here. I still love that. And then I've got all the other settings books here from different things. Some other editions of D&D, the second ed 3.5. And then we have our starter set here, and I have my more recent player's handbook in there. Now I go all digital books, so I haven't bought any rule books in quite a while. So especially for D&D, it's all online. So it's a little less impressive to look at, but at the same time, takes up less space and I can move it easier. Jumping down a little bit, I'm gonna jump down here. We have down here a bunch of other reference material for D&D. Some fun things like the Traps and Treachery, the Grimtooth Traps. And if you're running fantasy role-playing games, the old City Book series. If you ever find these here from the Tunnels and Trolls set here, Catalyst games, you can still find it at various places there. They're not too expensive, but they have some great settings and NPCs. It's all setting agnostic, so it doesn't specify any specific rules, but it's all just content you can dive into and use and plug into your games here. Lots of fun things. So the city books are really great resource. And people mentioning on GooBox getting moved. There's a good reason for that. Let's see here. Unfortunately, GooBox used to sit on this shelf right here, and he falls off now. So I had to move him up here We had a better place to kind of look down over top of us here, because now this shelf is all of my other game settings. Uh, from here all the way over to here is Shadowrun, second, third, fourth edition, and a bunch of the source books materials there. I spent a lot of time running Shadowrun, a lot of time playing Shadowrun, and so I still have all of my old books from that time period there. Um, so everything from the original, where is this? The original Street Samurai catalog from, I believe this was second edition. They didn't release the first edition books. Their second edition came out before they released all these. But yeah, the old things here. But yeah, all the different Shadowrun books and source books listed there. From there, we go over to Dragon Age, the Dragon Age role playing game, which I did preview a little bit before. The Age system, and we're still waiting on the new Age system, the new second edition Age system rulebook to come out there. But it's a very fun system to play in, so we'll be checking that out at some point. Dresden Files role playing game, one of my first Kickstarters I did for role playing games, and a huge fan of Dresden Files here. Fun content using the Fate system, very more narratively driven. We talked a little bit about this one in a previous episode as well. But very much a story driven, um, very narrative driven, little less crunchy in the rules when this happened, a lot more ways to play around with the narrative and describe scenes and characters and actions and stuff like that. It's a very fun way to go there with some fun randomized mechanics in it. Feng Shui. I have to bring this one out here because uh, I was introduced to this by my group here in Reno. Um, and action movie role playing. This is an absolute gonzo crazy uh, game system there. And when it's done right, it is a lot of fun. It's just how crazy do you want to be? All the old crazy action movies, that's what this role playing game is all about. So mixing up things like the old like Schwarzenegger movies and Rambo movies, along with Big Trouble in Little China and kung fu movies and all those crazy settings, all rolled into one place where you can play them all side by side. It's a lot of fun. So someday you may see a little Feng Shui one shot happen somewhere on our channels in the future. I would love to do that. So keep you posted on that. My most recent Kickstarter, the Avatar role playing game. This is going to be very fun to check out there. Very different setting and style to play with there. So, checking that out at some point. A very odd book here that probably most of us have seen, Mech Warrior. If you ever played BattleTech, it's a miniatures mech fighting game. I played a bit of it there, but this is sort of a role-playing game where you're playing the pilots of those mechs and how to basically do sort of like less the miniatures role-playing game and more the role-playing game to go along with it. So a very fun, interesting setting. I've played this a little bit with a couple of friends of mine when I was, well, between college and more recent professional life. We then go over to battle stations, and those you know me, most of my local group know that I've been playing this at gaming conventions for a long, long time. Um, it's it's sort of half board game, half role playing game set in futuristic space place with weird, crazy aliens and modular ships to play around in, and it's a lot of fun, but it definitely takes the right mix of people to play and the right person to know what he's doing in terms of the running the games. So someday this may be popping out here. It's very adaptable to other things here. I've actually played in a one shot where Firefly was done in battle stations. I've also seen Battle Station used to do Spelljammer with a fantasy bent on this rule, where you have, instead of engineers, you have um, uh, mana technicians that are fixing your ships for you and doing all the kinds of stuff like that. So interesting system, very simple system, actually, but very fun there. And that one I just got a recent Kickstarter from the Dirt Side version of Battle Station, which is more about ground school combat. ground school, ground type combat here, using vehicles and using like ground vehicles and running around doing missions on the ground, blowing up buildings and taking out aliens and stuff like that. So, very fun addition to the setup there. We got a goofy little Han person here, Han Solo, a, a very old knockoff pre pop figures for Han here. He's been sitting on my shelves and floating around for quite a number of years now. We got the Serenity role playing game, and just to show a bit of nerdiness here, you'll notice is that it's Jewel State autographed Kaylee's page, and I have Summer Glau updated the autograph Rivers page. Someday, maybe I'll get some more. Um, I will say the Firefly system, not great, but it's got some great artwork and some cool stuff in here, some story stuff in here, which is kind of neat. So if you ever find this old book here, it's not, it says the system is not a good one. There are other better systems for running Firefly in, but it's really fun content and really cool stuff to have in here. We have Cypher, the system rules, which is our friend Zach. I don't see him here yet, but he's using the Cypher system for his new setting he's running games in now. That should be fun. We have the old school original West End Games Star Wars role playing game. Very very different, definitely old school. I never run this. Played it a few times. Played it at a con a couple times here. It's fun. It's Star Wars. And yes, I know Brie, I'm coming across as a nerd. That's kind of the point. People wanted to see just how nerdy I could go. So here we are. We then have jump into Deadlands, a very fun Wild West, weird, it's called the Weird West, gunslingers and weird undead spirits and hucksters throwing out spells of various kinds like that. Very fun, bizarre setting. There's a more recent additions here that have newer rules and more updated rules and all that, but this is the original player's guide for Deadlands here, and I just have it fond place in my heart for it, even though I've only played it a couple times. I won't bother with there. There's a free role-playing game I got from someplace. I just kind of tucked in the corner there, so that one doesn't matter. But we jump down to our hero system stuff here. Our crunchy, crazy games with Cyber Hero, a robot warrior. It's hero versions of Mech Warrior of BattleTech, a fantasy and fantasy hero. So I have run and played a number of fantasy hero, and champions being the kind of the flagship for the hero system, with all their superhero crazy rules and utterly powerful, ridiculous things you can do in that system. I will never forget one of the last times I played it, I believe, at a con with all my friends. My Santa Barbara friends, where I learned the champions from in the first place. There, we broke out all of our old crazy powerful heroes, and our DM Mike went ahead and pulled up his most powerful broken villains that we could, and we just had a throwdown that took about 10 hours. And to play through this whole crazy scenario where we actually demolished Mount Rushmore and rebuilt it, in a total game time 24 seconds. It took 10 hours to play. It's ridiculous and dumb, but just over the top powers and everything else. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Justice League level stuff beyond and everything else. So just craziness there. We jump into our GURP setup here, and GURP I did talk about here. Generic universal role playing system. This really is kind of the Hero Light. It has lots of similarities, but the system's a little bit less crunchy, a little bit less crazy. But it is adaptable to any. That's why I call it generic universal system there, because it's adaptable to almost any genre. And GURP sports. Now, the fun thing is that rule book actually belonged to Pam, my wife. So I inherited it from her. But then we also have you have GURPS spells, places of mystery, all these different source books that came out for GURPS. There are literally all different settings and different ways to play GURPS Vikings, magic items, super adventures, so for superheroes, international super teams, so for more superhero adventures, and then even wild cards. George R. R. Martin from the Game of Thrones and um, uh, series and that. This was the series he first started, which is all a crazy superhero genre where he and a bunch of authors did short stories and compiled them into this, and they made a setting for wild cards there. Think uh, Game of Thrones, but with superheroes. That's what this is like. You have very terrible, awful heroes and villains, very much an anti-heroes and just very dark, crazy stuff. Um, so that's so. And for everything, there are literally you can find almost every obscure genre you want. There's GURPS Dune. There's GURPS um, uh, fairy worlds. There's GURPS sci-fi stuff. You name it, they've got it, and there's a source book for it. Um, and then we have, if you ever want to play superhero games, you want to find villains and vigilantes. Now, the game system for villain vigilantes, this is the entire rulebook. It's very much random tables for making heroes. You get some really bizarre combinations of heroes. I'll never forget one of my friends rolling up random powers and got vibration powers and lightning powers, and literally called himself Lightning Fork. His symbol was a tuning fork with a lightning bolt through it. Utterly ridiculous and dumb. But what makes these modules, all these vigilantes modules, amazing is that they come with these little flats. All these cool little heroes and villains flats. So you want to have like Goon number 5 and Technician number 12. And then we have, oh yes, Chess Knight for a group of mercenaries. Down into even you have vehicles. Um, and so these things are cutouts that come in the middle of these modules. And so you can cut them out and use them for tokens on a map that are all customized to crazy things. We have this Nazi number 4. That's always fun. Things to beat up. So you have all these really cool little flats here, and you just at one point I had them all in my crazy way, all organized into heroes and villains and civilians and vehicles, and my son dumped them everywhere, and I never went back and redid it. So, um, those of you who have younger kids know just how crazy that could be, keeping things organized. So, but yeah, if you are looking to run superhero games of any kind, you can find these at a lot of thrift stores and a lot of places there. Every one of these has a set of tokens that comes with it that you can go ahead and do some fun stuff with. You just cut out the tokens, and you've got all your flats you want. Um, Speaking of other superhero games, we do have Mutants and Masterminds. I believe we're to a third edition for this one. Cool stuff. Just another superhero set of rules. We were very much into that for a long time there, and so we did play quite a bit of that. And then we have a rather interesting. For those of you who are Brandon Sanderson fans here, there is a Mistborn role-playing book. It is very crazy thick. There's a lot to it, but most of this is more about source material and adventure seeds. The actual rule section is maybe the first like quarter of this. But it's a very bizarre role-playing game system. So I've never actually played it. I've read through it and I really enjoyed it. And I got the rest of the source books for it for super cheap at a convention one time. So they're good. They're fun reads, and I love Brandon Sanderson's. There's a lot of fun stuff here. Those are pretty much the role-playing games that I've got. Um, up on that top shelf, and part of the reason why those are up there, that top shelf, besides the goo box there, and my cute little purplish blue dragon that I've had since I was in high school. He's followed me around everywhere. Unfortunately, he got a little chip on his wing, so someday I need to either fix that or repaint it. But this little guy's followed me around for a long, long time. Every college dorm room, every place I went to, this guy followed me. Um, but up there, and my other dragon that I keep up here, this one being a ceramic dragon that my mom painted. And so I keep this around with me all the time. It's actually a music box stand that does Puff the Magic Dragon, and I've had this since high school as well. So it's followed me around for a long time. But yeah, I keep this one here because it's good memories of mom and all the fun stuff she used to make. We have up top here. There we go. Besides that, we have all the original TSR novels that have ever came out. From the Greyhawk novels over on the left, the Dragonlance novels, the Forgotten Realms novels, including all of the Drizzt Do'Urden series there, the Icewind Dale series there, and that side little shelf up there are all the Icewind Dale and the original first book that came out here. And this is rather interesting. You'll notice that this Darkwalker and Moonshae is the only book that's ever come out from TSR before they were bought up by Wizards of the Coast and everything else that it doesn't have the logo on the spine. It has on the cover, but not on the spine. Every other book that's ever been published by them has the logo on the spine. So this one's kind of an odd, definitely one of their oldest books they ever published. But that will take us over to, well, that crazy shelf over there. I'm still in the process of kind of shuffling some things around here, but that top shelf up there is all the Shadowrun novels that have ever come out. I think there might be a few more that came out like since I stopped collecting. Okay, we back? I think we're back now. Good, good. Okay. So those of you who saw the D&D movie there, one of the main characters is uh, was from an organization known as the Harpers. This is the first of 11 books that came out in the Harpers series. So yes, that was me. Sorry about that. Hopefully you're back. But yeah, the Harper series there, you literally have one of the main characters from the Harpers, Engen there, is a member of that group there. And this is the series that came out. There's a stack of 11 books there that came out in that series, and a bunch of other Forgotten books that came out. I wouldn't say they're all good. In fact, they're kind of mediocre quality, but they are good for pulp fantasy stories and everything else. So if you're ever if you get a chance to find these in a used bookstore somewhere, they're fun. They're fun reads. But from there we kind of go into just other random series that I have here. I'm actually in the process of reorganizing all of these. I have more books in the house I'm going to bring out and do. And of course, my favorite superhero there, yes, the Flash. Although slightly different here. Behind me over here are all of my graphic novels that I collected over the years, and my favorite Marvel superhero, good old Nightcrawler here, from the X-Men. And I went on a kick of buying graphic novels for a while because I couldn't afford to keep buying comics. And for every graphic novel, it would basically compile a bunch of different comic issues together. And so I got into the Ultimate series. So we have all the Ultimates, the Ultimate Fantastic Four, X-Men, Spider-Man. Um, so yeah, and then other random stuff from Marvel and everything else, down into other systems there with cross-gen comics and DC comics, including, if you've never checked it out, the best Batman story to come out there ever is Hush. Great stuff here. If you know Batman at all, Hush is probably one of the coolest stories they ever put out there. Um, but fun thing again too. Some of the Batman stuff that I have, the Dark Knight stuff there, and the Arkham Asylum. Uh, these were Pam's, and I inherited them. So again, part of the reason why I knew she was the one was the fact that I went to her when we first started dating. I saw all the D&D books and the comics on her shelves, and so yeah, great. Then we have some Firefly comics and some different anime stuff, and always got to have your protection there with your Nerf guns. Yes, Nerf hurts nothing, so I always have these nearby. Other than that, we have our up on very top on there. We have our Big Trouble in Little China trio because one of my favorite movies of all time. We have back here a couple of Vault Dwellers from Fallout, being one of my favorite video games. And I mean this recent birthday present here from from Horizon, they're one of the Lost Riders from the newer game here. Uh, cute little guy here to play with. And uh, we have our wonderful tiki mugs from Mass Effect there with Tally and Grunt, my tank baby. So these guys all up on my shelves. They're hanging out. Framed poster on the wall there from Sword Art Online, one of my all-time favorite animes. They're autographed by the two characters you see there, Kirito and Asuna, by the voice actors. Um, so definitely have uh, have that kind of prominently displayed up there. And then we have uh, in progress section over here on the wall. We have. Sorry about this little movement here. Let's get this thing settled there. But we've got a autograph poster picture from Robbie Damon from his character from Critical Role. And then in the middle here, you can't quite see it because of the glare, autograph poster from the cast of Rising of Shield Hero, which is a little bittersweet because the main character there passed away rather at a young age, and he did have a autograph from him in one of his last appearances at conventions. Made out to my kiddo Miranda and I. Other nerdy stuff on the shelves here. There's a lot in progress. We've got a lot going on in terms of adding new things here. I do also have a autograph with Kari Payton, who played Shikasta in Critical Role here. You might know him from Walking Dead and Teen Titans. But yeah, great guy, really fun, really cool guy. And I have autograph from him as well to get framed and get up on the wall here somewhere at some point. So sort of a little mixture of nerdiness that we have here. Um, as if you hadn't already heard, there those of you who know Goobox uh, featured in Avarice. We had an encounter with a gelatinous cube, who the person that kind of was the watcher even called him Goobox, and everyone loved him there. And then a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, who makes these little guys here. I was at a convention there where she was selling these, and I had to grab a little Goobox here and these little plushy um, uh, little cube here for us. She also makes some awesome plushy dice of different kinds here. And so I have my D20 here. Critical Cuteness is the person is the company that makes these. So if you're looking for that, looking for a good gift for Christmas or birthday as well as that, or you just want to give something out there, um, definitely check out Critical Cuteness. Um, Zara's a longtime friend of mine. I've known her since she was 1 year old. That was her first birthday party, and it's great to see her making fun stuff out there and getting out to conventions. Um, I do have more wall space. It's over there, so you can't really see it. So I made sure the walls behind me were sort of filled, but I definitely have more things to put up and more things to arrange. Um, let's see, where's my, not sure what ended up here. Somewhere there, I've got some more stuff here. I mean, I've got some crazy amounts of things here. My book, my shelves over here to my left are where I've stored all of my old gaming materials, old character sheets. Oh, good Lord. Let's see here. Um, just to kind of pull out just one of these at random. Old folders with character sheets from various settings, ideas for adventures that I've run, adventures that I've never run, um, alternate rules, things I was creating, and just all kinds of weirdness. I've got literally an entire file folder section here of old gaming stuff from years past that I've saved over the years. I did cull a lot of it when I moved last into our new house, and I got rid of some more when I put it out here. So what I have now is probably about a third of what I used to. Got rid of a lot of things that were just old junky character sheets and that weren't filled out and just random weird notes that didn't mean anything and kept everything else though. My big uh, um, fossil jar of full of dice from random sets and sets that have either I'm missing dice or just odd dice I've inherited from other games and everything else for other people. So my big old random dice container, and then the rest of my actual dice, um, all my journals. It's kind of a nerd paradise in a way. So, those of you watching, what are some of the things that you have, or some recommendations you have for um, nerdy things people might be interested in, or game systems you tried out there, or things that, or some of the fun, bizarre things that you've collected? I know we have some people out there that have some very interesting collections that have been around in gaming for a while and have some stuff there. So throw some things in chat there. We'll talk it out there. If you have recommendations for other viewers, recommendations for things that you tried out there. I know Sora there is also very interested in Shadowrun, and we were talking about that earlier today. In fact, there for a little bit there, some of the Shadowrun, and it is such a hugely rich world system. I mean, the source material for Shadowrun is incredibly detailed, and living in that world and reading that world. I mean, it's a cyberpunk style of game, but with magic thrown in and weird, all the different races and everything else. Um, I would love to see some Shadowrun games pop up there. Even the newest edition of I haven't played anything that I played a little bit of fifth edition, didn't care for it. Sixth edition, I didn't see the point of it. But there is a thing called Shadowrun Anarchy, which you can get online for free if you look it up there. Shadowrun Anarchy is sort of a Shadowrun light rule set. The characters are much much less complicated to build and work with, but it still has very much the Shadowrun feel, as they call it, Cyber Yahtzee, because it's all a D6 based system, and you roll a bunch of D6s and try to match up the highest values and stuff like that. Um, I think there's a lot of fun with the right person who knows the game and without going crazy into all the insanity that Shadowrun has to offer. There's a lot of fun things in there for games and settings and styles. It's very much a heist style game. So if you're into that sort of like planning a heist, getting in there, stealing something, kidnapping someone, planting evidence, doing whatever you want to do there, all that craziness there against the big corporations or whatever. That's a lot of what Shadowrun's about. So if you're interested in heist games there, check out Shadowrun. And you like cyberpunk with some crazy magic thrown in. The dragon there, every Star Wars Saga edition. You know, I have heard. I remember we talked about this in the past there, and it's one of those ones that I kind of got out of playing Star Wars when that started getting really big there, and so I know it's a really a cool era of Star Wars role playing games, and so if you're really into Star Wars, there is that. We are currently jumping into a Gum and Villainy campaign being run by a friend of mine, which comes from the Blades in the Dark system. And Villainy is a sci-fi version of Blades in the Dark, which is a fantasy-based one. Think basically playing thieves guilds, or mercenaries or bounty hunters. Well, in Scum and Villainy, you're playing a sci-fi version of that, which very much plays like bounty hunters from Star Wars alongside Firefly smugglers, and it's a really cool setting there. A very different campaign style. So something to check out there if you're into that sci-fi role playing. Um, Bernie there with Final plushies, Moogle, Mandragora from. Oh wow, yeah. So definitely some Final Fantasy style collectibles there. That is a definite thing. Inside the house. So one thing you'll notice out here is I don't have any board games. I have a whole closet full of board games in the house. That I couldn't bring out here, and besides, we play them inside there, so I didn't want to bring them all out here. But board games are a huge thing there. But one thing in that in that studio there, my kiddo Miranda, they've got a ton of pop figures from all different things, um, and um, a lot of collectibles, a lot of little figurines from various anime um, and manga type things that they're very much into. So the nerd has passed along to the next generation already. They play in a D&D game with friends, with some of their friends on I run every Sunday. There's a good time with them. Let's see. A My Little Pony game. There is a My Little Pony role playing game. It's out there. I believe you can pick it up there. And I think we do need to, Kara, I think we need to get that in someone's hands here real soon and kind of nudge them into running a game there. At the very least, running some one shots would be a lot of fun. Definitely. And a VeggieTales game. No, thanks. No. Uh, that's a lot of fun times. But yeah. Um, Saga Edition, from Dragon Lair Saga Edition, probably the best sci-fi D20 game made there. Yeah, I mean, I've heard great things about it. It's one of those things that I just never got into a game with folks on that one. So, um, definitely would love to see some of that at some point. That'd be a great time to see if anyone's really into that. We got a place for your runs. So, um, definitely check that out there. If you want to find some players, I would love to see that happen there. Um, let's see. Oh, Firefly celebration movie. I do have some Firefly. Uh, one thing I don't have up here, I have some Firefly signatures. So I have uh, Jewel Summer and Morena. So Kaylee River and um, Inara from Firefly. I have their autographs. Came from a very good friend of ours, way back. That was a good time. But I also have an autograph signed to me of our favorite Mrs. Reynolds, Christina Hendricks, and we have a picture autographed of a picture of Pam with Alan Tudyk. Good old wash there. Those need to be framed and hung up someplace. They've been kind of floating around in kind of being kept clean there, but I need to get those up someplace there because we have some fun autographs for those. Um, let's see. Morden Solis from Morden. Love Morden Solis. One of my favorite characters there, and we have some other Mass Effect memorabilia inside the house there because my wife is a huge fan of Mass Effect, even more than I am. Um, has played Mass Effect through so many times, and that is one of her favorite video games. So yeah, so we love Morden there. Um, Water buffalo. Had to find out why. We have a plushie of Appa from Avatar and a plushie of Momo, uh, that actually are in bed. So there's that. Um, good things about you know what, Dragon? I've heard the same thing. My Little Pony TTRPG. Actually, I've heard good things about Yep, I'm still here. So, yeah. Yep, there we go. Okay, good. Yeah, it's twice here. So what's going on here? My microphone's not, or something's happening there. So hopefully it unfreezes soon. Okay, good. Sorry about that. So anyway, continue. Pam, Firefly Convention. I was literally changing my son's diaper when I get a call from my wife who's at the convention, and she says, "Hey, someone wants to talk to you." And she puts him on the phone, and woman's voice says, "Hey, why aren't you here right now?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm in the middle of changing a diaper." And she's like, "Oh, that's a good reason not to be here then." And it was Christina Hendricks. Pam put her on the phone, and she actually talked to me a little bit while I was changing Daniel's diaper, and we talked a little bit about the convention, and I guess Pam was getting her autograph at the time there, and asked if she would be willing to talk to me on the phone, and so I actually got to talk to Christina Hendricks for a couple of minutes. so, um, so Bernie's for nerdy adult children, they have a massive collection of bobbleheads, swords, figures, many other items. Marvel games with like exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah. Um, my kiddo's got a ton of um Switch games from all the Zelda games and has been big fan of Zelda for a long time now. My son is very, as Sora would know this here, my son is very much into Thomas the Tank Engine, has been since he was 2, and we have a massive collection of trains and things like that. And every now and then he's not collecting as many anymore, but every usually birthday and Christmas he gets another one, another train to add to the collection somewhere or other. So yeah, a lot of collectibles in this family, a lot of collectibles spread across things. Um, yeah, we have another 15 minutes or here or so here with the time together there. So keep throwing out those fun things there. Other systems, I know there are a lot of other game systems out there that people have tried and played there. So I'd love to see some more of those things happening. And anytime we get a chance to show off our nerdy collections and talk about our nerdy obsessions and favorite things here. If you're looking for new anime, I can always recommend some. There's some great stuff out there. We've been watching a bunch here, from crazy, goofy, uh, um, isekai style animes through. I avoid like the crazy long ones like Dragon Ball Z or One Piece or any of those like that because it's just too much. But I've watched a lot of other anime and because it's fun. And I know Sora's got another recommendation, but another recommendations there. Um, so a giant Ouroboros coils a Serpent 5e campaign setting book there penned by. That is awesome there, Dragon. That's a really cool. Yeah, I think Coils of the Serpent 5e. I have not seen that one, so that'd be really cool to check out at some point there. I've gotten out of buying the source books only because um, if you ever chance Brennan Lee Mulligan has a great story about when he first started running games, and he had an adventure that was a campaign setting book there or an old module, and he tells the story of how it was a situation where the party was going in to rescue to a princess, a princess was getting married, and they got in there, and there were supposed to some guys show up to kidnap the princess and hold her for ransom and do all these crazy things. Um, the funny thing is that the players got there and went through some insight checks, realized the princess wasn't really excited about being married, so they went and kidnapped her and took her away. And so suddenly all the adventure was about like hunting down the guys who kidnapped her and doing the whole Mario thing of trying to find her another castle. They literally threw the adventure on its ear by kidnapping the princess themselves, and then they became the ones that were being hunted down and trying to keep the princess away. And it was an absolute. So he literally went, okay, well, this whole adventure just got thrown out the window in the first 10 minutes, and had to make it all up himself anyway. So ever since then, he makes it all up himself, and similar to what a number of us do, where we just have a world to play in and maybe take inspiration from various places, but we just make our own adventures. So definitely worth that there. Bernie also studying Emerald board game based on Neil Gaiman's story. Crossover Sherlock Holmes and Cthulhu. That's amazing. I know the closest thing I've got to that is the Arkham Horror series there. We played that a number of times. But I don't have it up here because the person who runs Cthulhu in this household is my wife, and so someday I really hope we get a one shot or a short, very short campaign of some um, very short campaign of some Call of Cthulhu. Um, Definitely a fun time there with that because you ever want to get a crazy game where you never want to get attached to your characters. It's Cthulhu. Um, Kickstarter from years ago. Uh, Time I was reincarnated with slime. Very, very good anime there. That's a great one there. A good old Rimuru. In fact, Miranda has a plushie of Rimuru and was carrying it around at the convention there. And it was like, oh, all hail. A lot of fun times there. So yeah, reincarnated with slime is a great anime. Um, uh, we're watching ReZero right now. Very, very cool one. Watching Bungo Stray Dogs as well. Kind of a different style anime there. So fun things. I definitely have recommendations for you if you're looking for them. Uh, don't want to take any damage, so I max out my defense. Yes, absolutely. That's a great one to go for there. Magical Kitties TTRPG. I don't think I've actually heard of that one. So, um, if you've got it there, Kara, maybe you should run it sometime. Hmm? 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 So, by the grace of the gods, I have not seen the anime yet. There, but yes, Dragon, yeah, exactly. DM life. It's so hard to stay on the rails of a campaign setting book like there. So it's just easier to let the rails go the way they may and have fun with it that way. So definitely one to check out there. Let's see. Okay. Right. So time we have left here. I want to before we lose time here. Definitely want to make a rather important announcement. We This will be our last time doing DM&D chat on this server. The Tumble Taker is moving to its own server. We are shifting from the House of Gamer server, which is going to still be around. It's going to be more for a PC and console gaming. But we are moving the Temple Tinker to its own server. So those of you who, some of you already know that who are here. Some of you may be here for the first time, and some of you may not actually be part of our House of Gamers server. If you're looking for D&D games, or looking for players, or looking for a place to maybe recruit players for your own servers and games, we're going to make that available to you. The Tumble Tankard Discord server is live. We are still migrating our current games over there. And so we're definitely going to see that happening soon. Um, so, Dragon, love to see you there. And yes, definitely come on over. And if you're looking to run some games there, Dragon, I'd love to see that. That would be awesome. We can get you set up there with your own chat channels, or if you have a place that you're already running games and want to recruit some people, we got you covered. So definitely come check it out. Um, uh, Links will be up soon. If you want to message me at some point there, I can get an invite for you and get things. It's already here. Excellent. It's already in the description below there, so check it out and jump in there. So I want to thank Khaleesi here, our producer, our the owner of the House of Game Discord server there, who got us all started and helped us build and grow. It's been amazing, and the idea that we can kind of build up from here and keep two communities alive and thriving. I'm looking forward to it, and uh, as we move into this new chapter here, I hope you guys will join us and be a part of it. I would definitely love to see everyone out there playing, running, and just growing the community into all sorts of new fun areas there, all sorts of new fun games, and checking things out. So hope to see you there. Last couple comments in here before we go on. Marvel heroic role playing game. Definitely, I have seen various Marvel versions, and I've always been hoping for a good one. So definitely checking things out. Um, I'd love to see some Marvel role playing with the right system. 'Cause there's been a couple that have been kind of mishits on there. So, but I'd love to see that sometime there. And we have an amazing D&D Mad Libs game book. Oh my gosh, Mad Libs game book would be fun there. So we definitely will have to have a an event at some point there where we do some fun Mad Lib style things there. That's amazing. So we'll have an event for that at some point there and get this thing up there. I'd love to see that. And Caps, I'm glad you were here. Glad you appreciate it there. If you ever want to follow-up questions about anything that I showed or any other things I maybe didn't show, let me know. I'd always happy to um, talk talk nerdy to folks here. So I hope that was a fun thing there. But we'll wrap things up a little bit early, but I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for your attention. Episode number 20 of DM&D Chat. And we're going to keep this rolling probably in another 2 weeks. We'll start. And so if you have any suggestions, throw them in the chat before we wrap things up, or throw them in the comment section below, or you can message them to me, or if you happen to be on the Tumble Tinkered section there, you can drop them into the chats there too, and throw some ideas out for future videos or things you would like to see, some content you would like to see expanded on. So, absolutely. So, appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate being a part of this because without you, we wouldn't be still doing this. And I just love having you around, and can't wait to see where we go next. So, as always, thanks for hanging out at the Tumble Tankard. Next time, drinks are on us, and we're gonna see you again real soon. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.